Now, I hope y'all are sitting down for this one because word is after nearly 10 years together, Jhene Aiko and Big Sean have reportedly called it quits. And baby, the reason why has fans going through every stage of disbelief. Sources close to the couple say Jhene finally walked away because she wanted more from the relationship and Sean just wasn't with it. After years of love, music, healing energy, and even a baby, it looks like commitment was the only thing they couldn't align on.
Y'all already did one of those secret industry weddings?
No. There has not been a secret industry marriage. I think that it's a little personal.
Now, for the longest time, they were hip-hop and R&B's golden couple, the definition of power duo vibes. But behind all that chemistry and creative connection, it seems like there was some major differences about their future. So how did it all fall apart? Grab your tea because we're breaking down everything that led Jhene Aiko to finally walk away from Big Sean after a whole decade of love. Let's take it back because this breakup didn't just come out of nowhere. Jhene Aiko and Big Sean have been one of the industry's most admired couples, and for good reason. Remember 2088, that album was like a love letter set to music. But what the world saw as effortless was apparently built on a lot of behind-the-scenes tension. According to multiple sources, Jhene had been asking for more commitment for years. She wanted to make the bond official, not just emotionally or musically, but legally. Marriage was important to her and she let him know, not just by dropping hints or anything like that. They reportedly had several conversations and she even gave Sean multiple ultimatums about it, but every time he hesitated. One insider told the Jasmine brand Jhene wanted marriage, she wanted that commitment. Sean loves her deeply, but he just never wanted to take that final step. And honestly, fans can kinda see it coming. Because let's be real, Sean has never been shy about how he feels about marriage. In an interview with Charlemagne the God, he basically said that he wasn't ready to tie the knot, saying that he didn't know if marriage symbolized the best relationship. Check this out.
Marriage symbolizes like the best relationship. You know, people be like, oh, you gotta get married. To me, I feel like having a relationship is first and foremost, and like marriage is a byproduct.
He even went ahead to say that people rush into marriage out of fear, and that's why so many end up divorced. So from his perspective, not marrying Jhene wasn't about a lack of love. It was about not feeling ready for that type of commitment.
And I feel like a lot of people get the idea of like, oh, you have to get married, but then it's like, to me, that's almost a fear-based way of thinking too, because then people be getting divorced.
Okay, but from Jhene's side, after a decade and a child together, it felt like he was never going to be ready. And that's where the internet had a lot to say. Fans were quick to point out that Big Sean was once engaged to Naya Rivera, the late actress from Glee, after only a few months of dating back in 2013. So people were like, wait a minute, you were ready to marry Naya after a few months, but you couldn't marry Jhene after 10 years and a whole baby? One user on Twitter wrote, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he give Naya Rivera a ring? I don't think he had that same amount of discourse for her as he did for Jhene. That's lame as fuck, honestly. And if that's not who he genuinely wanted, he should have just left her because 10 years is a long time to have wasted. Ooh, I feel that. But from what insiders are saying, this breakup isn't messy or toxic. Apparently, they ended things on good terms. There's no drama, no public fallout, and no shade. They're just two people who grew apart when it came to what they wanted for the future. They're in a great place, one source said. It's peaceful. They both respect each other too much to let things get ugly. Their main focus now is their son. That son is 3-year-old Noah Hassani, who's been the center of the world since his birth in 2022. Sources say co-parenting is going smoothly and they've both been doing everything they can to make sure Noah feels loved and supported through his transition. And y'all, this didn't come out of nowhere. The signs were there. Just days before the story broke, Jhene posted a new song on Instagram titled Break. She revealed that she'd been working on it since 2021. Fans believe it's about the emotional struggle of holding on to something that's no longer serving you. If that's true, it means that she's been contemplating this breakup for years, long before it went public. On top of that, fans have noticed that both Jhene and Sean have been focusing more on solo work lately. Jhene has been in the studio recording new material, while Sean's been teasing a return with his next project. They've stopped making couple appearances, and neither has posted the other in months. So yeah, the writing was on the wall, and the fans clocked it. One fan wrote, lol, he's about to pop out with the wife next week, and the next See the God interview will be him explaining how his relationship shouldn't require 10 years of work before marriage. Y'all would not believe what's happening in these streets. After months of drama, tears, and restraining orders, it looks like DDG and Halle Bailey might just be finding their way back to love.
Yeah, I think I'm back to that feeling of, yeah, this is love. And then it, it goes around and around. And
Around and around.
I think that's the beautiful thing about life.
I'm talking about the same couple who went from being the internet's favorite it pair to dragging each other for filth across court filings. But baby, the the streets are saying the vibes are shifting because both Halle and DDG have decided to drop the domestic violence restraining orders and they've agreed to co-parent peacefully. From DDG's public peace offering in his song 17 More Years to Halle's surprisingly hopeful take on love, it's given reconciliation energy. So are DDG and Halle Bailey officially rekindling the flame, or are they just cool with each other now? Let's unpack all this tea because child, it is popping hot. Now let's rewind this a little, because if you've been following DDG and Halle since the beginning, you know the relationship has been one roller coaster of emotions. Back in 2023, they were the picture of a young black love. Halle, fresh off her Little Mermaid success, and DDG balancing YouTube fame and his rap career, they both looked unstoppable. But somewhere between late 2024 and early 2025, that fairy tale turned into a full-blown public feud. Halle accused DDG of emotional and physical court filing that had everybody clutching their pearls. According to People, she detailed several incidents, saying he'd insulted her in front of their child, gone on live streams ranting about her, and even threatened her peace online. DDG hit back soon after, claiming Halle was the one putting their son in emotional danger. At one point, both of them were ordered to stay over 100 yards away from each other, and baby Halo couldn't even appear in photos on social media. For a while, it seemed like there was no turning back. Fans were divided. Some blamed DDG for being toxic, others accused Halle of letting social media pressure cloud her judgment. It was messy. But then something changed. Fast forward to October 2025, court documents revealed that both Halle and DDG had dropped the restraining orders. That's right, the couple who could barely be in the same room months ago are now agreeing to work together for their son. According to reports, they've also finalized a temporary custody agreement. DDG gets Halo on Wednesdays and select weekends, plus they've even mapped out a holiday schedule starting with Halloween. Y'all, that is progress. But the biggest shocker, they also agreed to not publicly disparage each other and to keep Halo off social media, a rule that probably came straight from the judge given how messy things had gotten online. Now, if you're wondering how this truce came about, it might have something to do with DDG's latest track, 17 More Years. In it, he's basically pouring his heart out, saying he's tired of fighting, and that he still respects Halle as a mother, and that all he wants is peace with her son. Yeah, and that wasn't all he said. He also let some tea spill, basically begging her to drop the case so that they could get together and talk it out. He also said that he still had a lot of love for her, and he wanted her to know that, even though she said she wanted him gone from her life. It sounded like DDG was extending an olive branch, and guess what? It seems Halle accepted it. Not only did she stop shading him on socials, but in a recent interview, she talked about being hopeful about love again.
Right now,
Yeah.
I think I'm back to the beginning. Like it all starts over again. Like you're just that feeling of euphoria and then just happiness.
No, she didn't mention DDG by name, but fans immediately clocked the timing. The interview came right after the custody agreement was filed and the restraining orders were dropped. And the internet being the internet, everybody started asking if DDG and Halle were working things out behind the scenes. Adding fuel to the fire, DDG was recently spotted out with India Love, and during the night out, India literally toasted to his resilience and being a stand-up father. So even the people in his circle seemed to be cheering him on for stepping up and mending fences with Halle.
Your resilience for your, situation. Yeah. You being a stand-up father, I'm sure everybody's so happy for you.
And look, you can say what you want about DDG, but the man does seem to be trying. After a year full of legal battles, public humiliation, and lost sponsorships, he's clearly on a mission to show growth both as a man and as a dad. As for Halle, she's radiating peace. Sources close to her say that she is in a new relationship and feeling more grounded than ever. She's talked about how love comes in circles, how heartbreak fuels creativity, and how she's channeling it all into her music. So while she's not necessarily running back to DDG, she's definitely open to coexisting with him from a place of peace and healing. Now, whether this is a new chapter that leads into a romantic reunion or just a healthy co-parenting friendship, one thing's for sure, DDG and Halle are setting an example of what it looks like to grow up, take accountability, and do what's best for your child.